Hello everybody, today we're going to be doing some more MLB news, spring training news. So we're going to be basically going over some of the MLB spring training news that's been going on. If you do like this video, hit that like button down below. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of these transactions or moves this spring training season. So we're going to get started here, starting off with JBJ. Jackie Bradley Jr., one of the highest free agents that was still on the board, has now signed with the Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers. I think that's very interesting because the Brewers had like three legitimate outfielders, and getting another one I think is kind of interesting. I'm wondering if they're going to platoon him or if they're going to have him in the main role, because they do have Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich, and Avisail Garcia already in their outfield, and Lorenzo Cain and Jackie Bradley Jr. are two really good defensive center fielders. So I'm wondering what they're going to do with those two, if they're going to platoon them, or maybe they platoon Avisail, because if you compare those three, I think Avisail is probably the lowest rated guy, but he still is pretty good. And you look at this, I think this is a good move for the Brewers. I think it makes them a little bit more contendable, but I mean, if you ask me, the Brewers, I think, are a interesting team. They're right there in the National League Central, where there's so many like close teams. There's not a clear cut favorite, even though the Cardinals are probably the favorite from the Arenado trade. I don't think that they're completely clear cut favorites. So that's gonna be very interesting to see how those moves go. But yes, we do have JBJ moving on to the Brewers, and I think that, like I said, I think that's a good move. And I wonder what's gonna happen with the Brewers. Next up, Framber Valdez is possibly out for the season. Framber Valdez is starting pitcher for the Houston Astros, and they need pitching. They lost Verlander for part of the 2021 season, and now losing Framber Valdez, that's not great. That was probably your highest rated pitcher. Him going out, they had a pretty good rotation. They were a decent rotation that was definitely pretty good. Losing him, you really don't have that many guys anymore. You have Lance McCullers, and you might have, a few smaller guys, but you don't have a great rotation right now if you're the Astros. You're kind of like, okay, we lost our ace. That's not great. I think because of this, I think they should go out and try to sign Jake Odorizzi, because Framber Valdez could be out for the whole entire season. I think it was like a finger fracture or something like that, but that's not good. If Framber Valdez is out for the whole entire season, I would say about the first half of the season, their rotation is definitely going to be weak. And that just makes the American League West weaker. The American League West is one of the weakest divisions in baseball. American League West and National League Central, the two obvious weakest divisions in baseball. Which one are we going to see really thrive? Are we going to see, which team are we going to see thrive in the American League West? We're going to have to wait and find out. I don't know how the Astros are going to deal with Framber Valdez. Speaking of the American League West, moving on to Joey Gallo of the Rangers, he has been red hot popping off in spring training so far. They've only played like 6 games, I think, 5 or 6 games at maximum, and if you look at that, Joey Gallo, a great hitter, he's popping off right now. I think he's been doing really good. Great for that Rangers team, and I think Joey Gallo going to that team, he needs to be a leader of that team. That team's weak, and if Joey Gallo can be the leader of that team, I think that the Rangers, they have a leader of their team, somebody that they can depend on in the future. He hasn't been great these last 2 seasons due to injuries, and he just hasn't been great with the bat these last few seasons, but he has the capability to hit 50 to 60 home runs. He has pretty great power. Next up, Ohtani is looking sharp. Shohei Ohtani, the two-way player who can hit and pitch, he has been looking great on both sides. According to some reports, he hit he's been hitting a few really good home runs, and he's just been hitting the ball really well. I don't know how much he's been on the pitching side, but he looks good. And because Shohei Ohtani is probably one of the best two-way players since Babe Ruth, honestly. He's been a really good baseball player, and I think that if the Angels can get him back, have him as their DH, that's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be really good. An extra bat in that lineup that's gonna make that lineup really scary. With Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, Shohei Ohtani, David Fletcher, those are gonna be some good bats in that lineup. Justin Upton too, yeah, that's gonna be a good lineup. Next up, Arenado, Lindor, Nolan Arenado, Francisco Lindor, and Trevor Bauer all debuted. They all debuted in the last few games, and they all looked, they've all been looking pretty good. But it's been different for everybody. Bauer in his first start playing against the Rockies, through 2 innings, he did really, really good. It's only 2 innings, so you can't really judge just based on 2 innings, but he did really, really good in his debut with the Dodgers. Francisco Lindor, hey, he's been looking pretty good defensively and offensively. He makes a couple good defensive moves. He's gotten a few hits down. He doesn't look bad. And then Nolan Arenado made his Cardinals debut, and I think that I think he finally got one of his hits now in, and he's starting to kind of come off. First few games weren't that great because he's been from Colorado, and it's harder for people to play in Colorado to come onto a different team and hit great because they're so used to Coors effect. If Coors effect is really that big of a deal, I don't know how big of a deal it is. But Arenado, Lindor, and Bauer all debuted, and for the most part, they all seemed pretty solid in their debuts, and they're all looking pretty good to go forward in their team. Next up, Aaron Boone of the New York Yankees, their manager, injury status. So if you didn't know, he suffered some injury, or he wasn't feeling well. He was feeling lightheaded, and it was over the baseball news. And they said it's just a minor thing. It's nothing to be super worried about or anything like that. But if the Yankees, hopefully he goes back, safely. Because if the Yankees lose him for that team, that could be a big deal. Their manager, who's been managing their team for a few years now, he's used to the Yankees. If he can't come back for part of the season, I don't know what the Yankees are going to do. Are they going to have their backup manager be it? Are they going to have a new manager come in? I don't know what they're going to do with that. It doesn't look like anything major, though. It doesn't seem like that's the case, but just a little injury status on him. Fernando Tatis, Grand Slams are back. He hit another Grand Slam in one of these last few games. He hit another Grand Slam. Fernando Tatis, bat flips are back. Spring training is here, and baseball's coming back, and Fernando Tatis has just been looking amazing. He's trying to be the main player, the face of baseball. I think it still goes to Mike Trout, but Fernando Tatis is, he's becoming the man of, oh my gosh, it's Fernando Tatis. He's the guy of the team. He's the guy of the league. Next up, Wander Franco debuted in spring training, and is ready for the season. Wander Franco is getting ready for the season. He wants to play in 2020 or 2021. He wants to play, and he wants to play well, and I think he can play well, and he's ready for the season, and he's getting ready, and the top #1 prospect in baseball looks to be a beast. Can't wait to see him and see how well he does for the Rays and how well they can do. Last thing, MLB standings predictions are coming out later. If my plans go correctly, I plan later today to bring out my MLB standings predictions video, so be on the lookout for that, because I do plan to make my predictions for the season. Who do I think is going to win the World Series? I'm going to be making that later today, so that we can get the video out. The 2021 edition, it will be another slideshow, because my last MLB standings predictions video did very well. Now, I'm not going to say I expect it to do well, but my last MLB standings predictions has the second highest views on my channel with about 200 views. So I do want to make that's gonna be definitely a big video for me. So anybody who's watching this, stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys. I'm gonna be seeing you guys in the next video, which will be my MLB standings predictions. So if you guys like this video, hit that like button down below. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of these signings or any of these just transactions or any of the injuries. Are you excited for your team? Are you excited for spring or for the season to start? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.